In this chapter, we're going to talk about optimizing the stereo image of your mix. You may be surprised to know that there is the ideal width to your stereo image. When mixing or mastering in stereo, you may not notice any problems whatsoever. Everything is sitting in its proper place. However, in some cases, even with commercial releases, if you are to play that stereo track through a mono playback device, you may find that some of the parts of your mix have disappeared altogether. This is a result of the left and right channel being out of phase with each other. And what that means is the difference between the left and right channels is so great that when merged together into a mono channel, they cancel each other out, resulting in the disappearance of certain tracks. Now, depending on your host, you may have a phase meter at your disposal. This is what you should be using to check that your stereo mix is not out of phase. If you need one, there are a few plugins on the market that can be used within your host that will allow you to monitor and possibly edit the stereo image. In the first chapter, I talked about using a good frequency analyzer when applying EQ. So a good option here would be to have a look at NewGen's Visualizer. Not only does this plugin have an excellent frequency analyzer, but also comes equipped with an excellent phase meter. A phase meter basically has two portions. A plot type graph that will show you how the audio is placed within the stereo field. Use this portion of the meter to get a quick glance at the current stereo width. This meter should be more vertical in body than horizontal. The second portion of the meter will give you a more detailed information on the phase correlation. It is broken up into three values, -1, 0, and +1. Your stereo image should have the value that is hovering between 0 and +1. There may be a few peaks or short sections that float over to the -1 side of 0. This is perfectly acceptable, as long as the majority of your audio is on the +1 side. If you are seeing phase issues, then the simplest way to correct them is to narrow the stereo image. There are a good number of plugins that can do this for you. Of course, all stereo image plugins are slightly different, but all have the same goal, which is to make the stereo image wider or narrower. So while watching your phase meter, adjust the amount of width so that it is no wider than the 0 line. As I mentioned earlier, there may be the odd point where the width might go beyond 0, and this is perfectly acceptable, as long as it is not permanently staying over the 0 point. Anything within 0 and +1 is what you want to see. The desired width is really a personal taste, or that of the client's. A wide image may have space and could make the mix sound larger. However, this can have a negative effect in the details of the mix. So try to find a happy balance between the detail and size. Now with all that said, in the next chapter we're going to take a look at some tips that will tighten up the low end and add punch as well as width to your mix.